talk about some of the recent closings of venues, Dobbs and the North Star, what it means to the Philly music scene. We're going to open up the floor for people to express their opinion, ask questions, bring up talking points, and we encourage the crowd to also be part of those who answer as well. This is not a panel in the sense that you're asking us questions, you're presenting information, and then it is up for open discussion. So at any point, if anybody would like to come up, just let us know, we'll get you up on the mic. Everybody to my left here is Jim Thorpe from DVT Events. Does everybody know Jim? Everybody give it up.
And also, so any ideas that you guys have, please shoot them up, and it'll be interesting to see what some of the ideas you have that can improve what our bookings, shows, events, if it's like, you know, how the doors are run, payments are run, what costs are involved in the venues. We can answer pretty much a lot of that stuff.
All the crazy shit.
Oh yeah, all the crazy shit. So who wants to be the first?
Like a year's worth of content and things to talk about. I mean, this should really be an ongoing thing. We've been doing this here for, you know, a good bit the last Wednesday of the month, trying to provide a platform for artists in the scene to come together and collaborate, not just with each other, but with promoters, other venue owners. It doesn't matter where you work. It's about promoting the Philly music scene collectively. It's not about come out and see my band. It's not about come out to my venue. It's about go out and support the scene. I think that's the overriding theme, and then we all benefit. You know, I always try to take a page out of the book of the craft brewing industry. You don't see yards button heads with Philadelphia Brewing Company or Victory Brewing Company or Flying Fish. They all work together to promote craft beer, and everybody benefits from that. So if we all promote the scene together, the higher purpose of the collective, then everybody benefits from that. So, Dustin, get up here. Get up here. Give it up for Dustin Dellinger from Gas House Radio, everybody. Does just as much to support the Philly music scene as anybody here in this area. He's got some very particular, insightful.
Who wants to give out the first question or any kind of comments? Anybody have the guts to be the first person?
Well, let's just throw it out here. These venues closing, good thing or a bad thing? Somebody come up and tell us what you think.
Oh, God.
Look, these are all talking on Facebook all day, the posts and the comments and the replies and the likes. Somebody come up here and tell us what you think. We want to hear what you have to say. All right, well, I will say what I have to say if somebody doesn't have to. This is going to be a while.
Actually, Ron, while seeing both places close, and obviously when I started on Glen Man's was with places closing, okay? And what I viewed then and what I view now, I think it's actually not such a bad thing in a certain way, because it's going to limit the amount of places that bands can play, and it's going to keep people kind of more in check, so you don't have them oversaturating themselves and the market.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I know it's not like a nice thing to say or an easy thing to say, but I think the two venues closing is overall good for the scene. There's a lot of places to play. There's a lot of competition every night. And I also want to just say, because of a lot of the stuff that were posted on Facebook recently and Twitter, that I don't think the music scene is dead or dying or even struggling. I really don't think that's the case. There's certainly a lot of talent. I just think there's certain things we can do to improve it. I think there's a lot of ideas out there that everybody talks about amongst themselves, but it never reaches the ears of the venues or the promoters, or just the ideas never get organized and they never happen. So when you see two venues close like this, that everyone knows so well, it's an opportunity for the venue owners and the promoters and everybody to kind of perk up and listen, like, you know, now's a good time to put any of those ideas out there. I think that's the point of tonight. So don't be shy.
And when I heard both venues closed, I knew one, I had bets with people that when I used the book was going to close by this time. But when the North Star closed, I did 2 shows there, and 2 national shows that did about $250, and most of it was door money. And I went to get the money, and the owner, Sloan, was like, "We didn't make any money at the door." And he wasn't going to give me the money I owed to the artist, which was like over $3,000. And he was keeping the money. And this was recently, this was probably like in February, March of this year. When I saw that happen, it kind of just put a light bulb in my head. They're not going to last long if he's doing that on the show. That money just came through the front door that was cash and telling me it wasn't available because he had to pay other bills. So I actually had to stay there and actually had to call the police to get the money off of him to pay the artist. It was going to be pretty bad. I mean, and I've known Sloan for a long time, and I don't know what happened to the guy, but I guess when things are not going well for a venue, people do desperate things.
I would have just put him in the green room with a bunch of PBR.
It came close.
Just be like, have at it.
I've never been in that situation before, so I know bands have been, but like being a promoter and booking shows, and the artist is downstairs waiting for $3,000 and you can't get it from the door. But I think too is, and I know Derek's here from the fire, and with the two venues closing, I kind of want to go back to the old days when it was real hard to get a booking show. Like before you used to play, back in the days, have to play a Tuesday to get a Wednesday to get a Thursday to get a Friday, a weekend show. Nowadays, it just seems like a lot of bands and a lot of venues are just booking bands, not letting them develop or earn their slot on things. Am I right with that, Derek? Or you would agree with that? Or
110%.
Okay, because it's like when you put these shows together, it pisses us off all the time when you see, oh, we got a great show, and the band all of a sudden has a show the week before or the week after a show that you're promoting, and you're expecting them to help support the show. It also pisses us off, and also not fair to the other bands on the bill. So that's the stuff I saw when there's so many venues and so many places to play. Everybody's saying, don't worry about that show. We don't have a radius, just play it. And then it puts us in a bad spot, because then instead of canceling it, it's like you kind of got to leave the band on the bill.
Do you think it would be possible or even a good idea to some sort of communication between all the venue owners and/or promoters, where if you are a band and you book a show within 3 weeks before or after, or 2 weeks, whatever you want to put as the rule, that you kind of have to blackball that band if that happens, or somehow work with the other promoters to make sure that cannot happen. That has to be. I think that's like one of the main things that has to be addressed is oversaturation. Is there any ideas on how to do that?
Contracts.
No.
No.
Say, please come up and speak. Address the audience.
So, for those who don't know me, I'm Barry from Audio Impulse. How's everyone doing? See, this is how
I'm on your side, Barry. I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
This is how you know I'm part of the scene, because these fuckers hate me. So anyway.
We don't hate you.
Yeah, fuck you too. No, but all right. So I agree. Contracts are a scary thing. But why the reason why it's so diluted is because you got all these assholes that think they can just play a show.
Right.
I mean, seriously, look, every band here, I know them or know of them. And the reason being is because they've been through the motions. I've signed so many contracts for my band to play shows where I can't play Philly for a week, can't play New York for 2 weeks, I can't play anywhere else for 3 weeks, for a month, it doesn't matter. But I still sign those contracts, and guess what? For those 3 weeks that I can't play anywhere in the scene, you bet your ass I'm promoting the hell out of it. So contracts, as they are scary, they also kind of bind the band to do it right.
How do they bind that? What happens if you break the contract?
If you break the contract, you don't get booked again. Done.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
get paid.
essentially
You
what
don't
I'm
get
saying.
paid, and you don't get booked again. Because let's be honest, we all want to get paid, right?
Yeah, right.
We all want to make our money. We all do this because we want to make a living out of this. So what is so bad about us saying, we're going to do this right, we're going to do it the smart way? It's a business. So in a business, what do you need to do? You need a product that you can sell that's not readily available all the time, because it's not going to meet the demand. It's going to be oversaturation, like you were saying. So get a band in there that says, hell, we can't play Philly for a month. If we play this venue, you bet your ass we're going to make it count. And then you book the show. You can't book 2 weeks before, you can't book 2 weeks after. And then guess what? Now you got to wait a whole month to book another show.
Okay, well that's.
But you know what?
Go somewhere else and play.
You know, one of the
Somewhere else to play, exactly. You
It's
can
either
go to
get-
another city and expand if you really want to. We're right
But
near
the only way you can expand, and the way it works now, is you need to network with bands that are doing well in different markets.
So what's so
and
hard about
swap
that,
show.
though?
What?
What's so hard about that?
Because bands don't do it.
Exactly.
Because what happens is, just say your band you're drawing 5-10 people per show, and you want to move outside the market. and you're like, Jim, I'm gonna swap a show, but I'm like, okay, you can bring this band in, but you're averaging, how you gonna support this band coming in the town? Like, if you can get your home base and you can guarantee a good draw, you could swap shows easily. And I know you went down to Dewey this year, and you saw what the different things that happen down there is all those bands do well pretty much in their own market, and you just swap shows, and that's working. I mean, it's hard to book. It's hard for us to take on an out-of-state band if I don't know somebody. And I know outside this market, it's really tough because
Is this why Dobbs closed? Is this why Dobbs and North Star closed?
That's nothing to do with it.
I'm just curious.
No, that's
All right.
No, but contracts one answer to that, to the oversaturation. So
I think that is the time. Is that it's economics. It's supply and demand.
right.
You know, it's the scene balancing itself out.
But
what
that's
you're
one,
seeing right
that's
now.
one solution. But I saw a lot of hands go up about this, about other ways of stopping bands from booking too many shows on top of each other.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. You want a band that can be able to draw, but they won't stick around after they're set. They won't stick to the end of the show.
that's
They won't
another
go
issue.
to other shows. I mean, I speak, this goes to all of you guys in this room right now. We all need to support each other. We all need to be one unified front as a Philly scene. I go to shows that don't even involve me or involve any of my friends in other bands, just because I love going to shows. I love supporting. That's what it's supposed to be. And somehow we lost sight of that because everyone gets caught up in their own camp.
And here's it. I can answer this one real well. I'm an old head, so I've been around doing shows since the 80s. You know, when I had the Grape Street Pub, we had a great scene at that venue. And at the time, Dobbs had a great scene. Kyber had a great scene. Philly was thriving in the 90s. And for it's as simple, like we're talking about demographics, is bands supported bands a lot stronger back then.
Yeah.
What happens is when bands come to shows, it gravitates other people because they don't know your band guys watching the other band. So crowds gravitate to crowds. So if somebody's coming to a club and they see nobody in there and they're just walking up, they're gonna be like, no. Or if they hear, yo, I hear that club, there's like 15, 20 people there, or or it's a packed club, let's go hang out. It's like a hot spot. And that's how things work. It's almost like a cloaking device that, okay, you got 20 people from bands supporting the show, and people start realizing, that place is hopping because there's a lot of people there. So let's go hang out. Because most people who want to go out, especially girls, guys, they want to hook up, get drinks. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's always been. It never changed. It never will. And that's, I hate to say, that's what you got to kind of promote what music is. It's the experience. But everybody's complaining, nobody's going to shows. But if you kind of build it, any scene that happened, LA scene, even Philadelphia scene in the 80s, and then during the Empire Rock Club, the grunge scene, the New York scenes, and all the hipster scenes, even our Northern Liberties, that blew up because that kind of created a niche and it blew up. And, we get bands like Circa Survive and all these other bands that are making big. That's because there was a lot of support there to get them to that next level. I mean, I remember when I was doing Hellstorm, before they broke out, they were getting supported, and then the scene supported them, and then it just turned into a friggin' spiral. Same thing with Silver Ties. Same thing with most of the other bands that you might know that broken out of Philly. It starts with you guys, and then it grows from that point. So if it doesn't grow at this point, it's going to be hard to grow at the next point. To the next level where you get the regular people.
When was the
coming.
last time we saw that?
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm up here. What's up, guys? I'm Billy. I play with Little Brown Chair. I've been playing in Philly for 20-something years, and my band. We were talking about the oversaturation earlier. My biggest thing is, bands. We work, and I think bands should be recognized as entertainment. For like covers, I understand it's always been like that. Bring 20 people through the door before you get paid. It's always been like that. But I mean, sometimes. I had an event one time playing at someplace in Roxborough. It's some Irish bar. We were playing upstairs. People were coming from downstairs because they heard us and they wanted to see us play. And they started coming up. And the guy up there said, well, it's $15 to come up here. And they turned around and went back down. Like building a following, a lot of these bands who are just starting out, you're going to get that Monday gig and you're going to play at a place and they're going to charge $10 to get in. So you bring the people that you bring with you, but no one's going to walk by, and if they hear you play and say, oh, I want to go in and check that out, oh, but I got to pay $10 to go in. So it's a little bit on the event side too, you know.
No, I totally agree. And like I know from all the shows that I do, the reason why we got Dobbs when we took over in 2010, and we were there when I was there to 2014, we built that club based on your same theory. Is when people came in and they didn't know what was going on, there was a cover, we always let those people in, because my theory is, and it's probably what you're thinking, is those people come in, they have a good time, they're coming back and pay to cover the next time. And that's how I've always done my bookings that way. And when I own clubs and ran clubs, that's how I know what makes clubs work and what makes people want to come. And I've always too, and I know I was throwing this around with Ron and Dustin today, is we always used to have a DBT VIP card, and that means that all the musicians used to come, and they never had to pay cover at any kind of club. So if nobody could say I had no money and I couldn't go to a show, they can come. So we were tossing around the idea just today is to do like a Philadelphia Music VIP card that goes out to the musicians who play for us and all our venues that want to be associated with this, so that if you're going out, and if we hook the deal up with, if Bourbon Branch want to jump in, you can go, I want to go hang out and not have to worry about paying cover, because we know you guys don't have money. I mean, no, I'm being serious. Am I wrong?
Amen.
We know they're going to take advantage of that.
Listen, I agree with you, like having to pay your dues. I grew up playing in the city in the 80s and the 90s, and you had to get a Monday night gig and in order to get a Friday.
But that's all gone now.
You had to do a Monday to get a Friday, and I agree with that, because what happens now is there's just so many, and I don't mean to sound like this, but there's so many shitty bands out there, where it's like if you're not going to play, somebody else will.
Well, everybody can just play music, go on YouTube and play.
You should have to play a Monday in order to play a Friday, but if you're playing a Monday and it covers $15, how do you build a following other than the people
That's just bad. It should never be that.
Well, I think it's just an example. Some venues do.
I can't see $15 in this place.
I think
Unless I'm giving away free spaghetti or something. You know what I mean? How the fuck you getting $15 cover?
That's what I'm saying. It sucks.
Let's hear from Derek from The Fire. Everybody give it up for Derek. He's in-house booking at The Fire. I like to call The Fire Rick Rack North. We've always shared this kinship, sort of a similar vibe. I've always loved the place. It's always been a place that musicians go to hang out.
I'm playing there Saturday.
We like to feel we're the same way. It's a great place.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, I exactly feel the same way. And so I want to talk a little bit about the overriding reason why I think that venues are closing and why venues are struggling. And it's directly related to our market here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, as a large-sized market city, faces different situations than other markets. We're not New York, and what we've seen recently in Philadelphia over the last couple of years is that the venue model has changed. The venue model from Rock Club, Connie's Fire, what Khyber Dobbs was, is completely changed. It is now nice gastropub, food, the whole experience, and then music.
We're batting cages.
And so we're batting cages.
Scotty, you gotta do it.
And like in New York, the model of rock clubs has not changed. It still exists. Everything, Mercury Lounge, Arlene's Grocery, etc., they're all pretty much the same and exist as they have existed. The problem that we have as people who run venues is there are, in the grand scheme of things, probably 20 some odd bands who can draw 50 to 75, maybe 100 people a night. And they can do that probably 3 to 4 times a year. They may pay 12 times a year, but they only have those shows where they can bring out that fan base 3 to 4 times a year. One of those is going to be, if you're on that quality of band, you're going to get a support show at TLA, Union Transfer, etc. So that's one of those shows. So then there's 2 or 3 of those shows that the 8 to 10 other venues hope to get, we're going to get one of those shows, but only one of those shows are going to be the shows that are heavily marketed.
And it's a special event. It's not just bands. It's not 3 bands. What's going on tonight? Oh, we got these 3 bands. It's a special event.
Yeah, and it's usually around a special event, whether the band is putting together CD release, some kind of tribute night, or they have a band that's coming in from out of town that they built a special relationship with, that a band that draws significantly, so they want to put everything into that show. So that really limits the ability of really big shows that we all can have. So we survive on mid-sized shows that all of you guys play. And as you guys play these mid-sized shows, it's imperative that the things that we talk about is that you look at those shows always as building blocks towards your next show, or towards your career, or towards your next record or next recording. And each one of those shows you want to have spread out where, yes, like on either side, I don't have that you cannot play within 2 to 4 weeks, but I say, hey, listen, you understand that it's in your best interest.
You're not going to get 50 people to come out 2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
So you want to play those shows, and you want to put the onus on not only yourself, but on the promoters themselves to make sure that you're on the right bills. And I think that's absolutely key, is that you want to play, whether you're a punk band, whether you're a hardcore band, whether you're a rock band, singer-songwriter, hip-hop, you want to play on those kind of bills where you're going to get fans from the other bands. And a thing of like where people leave early for shows, that you play first, and by the time the 4th band's playing, none of your fans are there. You want to encourage your fans to stay, and that comes from you. That comes from like when you're like, hey, I play at 8:45 sharp, and be there, and at 10:30 you're on to like your own post party, instead of staying there with your fans and building those relationships and building your fan base.
Saul, you have a comment?
I actually have a question for all 4 of you.
I want to, real quick, for that, what Derek's saying there too is, I try to, even when I do shows, I try, and I know we all do the same thing, is when you're on that show, it's up for us as booking agents to make sure it's a great show musically that fits up, but you guys all should be supporting the bands on that bill, because I see some of the most successful shows are when all 4 bands or whatever the bill is are all talking to each other and saying, yo, oh, I like, you guys are great, so they promote it as an event so that their fan base coming, yo, you really got to check out that band that's on at 10:45. They're like so-and-so, and you'll really dig it. And I only see that 1 to 5% of all the shows that we do, but I think that's...
Like you said earlier, it's the oversaturation. Bands don't communicate with other bands and try to make
Well, what if
that
the promoter doesn't even give him a time?
So my name is Saul Dratman. I'm from. That's how we all know they know me. from Gravity Given Productions. I broke around the city. So I have a question for all 4 of you, actually. What do you guys do when you hear from you go to a band, you say, I want to book you guys, or they say, we want to get booked by you guys? What do you do when you say, hey, what are your numbers generally look like? And they say, oh, we can generally draw up, 50, 75, 100, whatever.
I don't even ask that question because I know the number's not true. So I just don't ask that question.
Exactly.
I don't know how you really combat that. You really have to know the scene pretty well and experience and know that band can draw this and that band can draw that. And hopefully, getting back to what we were just talking about with bands staying to see the other shows and even the crowd staying to see the other bands at a show, the part of the model of going in, paying your cover, and them asking you, who are you here to see, and you mark that down, I feel like that is one of the biggest problems that we need to figure out. That completely promotes the, oh, I'm here to see this band, so I'm going to see this band and then I'm going to leave. And what you should be saying is, what do you mean, who am I here to see? I'm here to see this show. This show is unbelievably good. All 3 bands are good, or 4 bands. But there's got to be a solution. That's just the problem.
But I can.
The reason why the clubs do that is so they can figure out who and how to pay.
You know why? Because the bands want to get paid.
Exactly.
The only time that fucking question comes up about what's your draw is when they say, do you guys do guarantees? And I say, yeah, I do guarantees. If there's fucking people here, you're going to get paid. That's the guarantee. What do you want me to tell you? I'm going to give you $500, you're going to draw fucking 5 people.
The problem too is I would like to do that. Like I do a lot of punk shows, and the punks they all agree that let's just throw the money in the pot and we'll split it. We don't care, okay? But a lot of times, I'll say 95% of the times at the end of the night, if I even said that you want to give money out to extra band. Any band that drew well, even if I'm trying to help a supporting artist,
a lot of people no.
And they say no.
Yeah.
They say they want the money, and they don't look at the long run. It's like, you know what? I hope this band that's touring, that's from New York or Virginia, and you want to swap a show, I hope they don't do it because, bands want to get paid, and they want to get paid for the people they brought.
I brought 50, they would brought 20. I should know. Why do I got to give it up?
Right.
You're part of the scene.
Matt, you're asking
How you doing?
Can I ask you guys one
Go ahead.
question? As you guys are like booking this, can I ask you a question? When you book a showcase or like when you do your own promotions, as a promoter, can you just when you book a show, can you not give the band their actual time slot until they show up for the night of the show? What do you think of that? Because that way they promote the show together and all their fans will come out.
That would cause mass fucking chaos. That would be mass chaos and add about.
But if there's support to sing, does it matter?
I'm just saying, I know, like, from booking bands every fucking day, how it, like, I can't even imagine, be like, I'll tell you when you get here. They're gonna lose their shit.
And so, hey, my name's Matt. I'm from the Idea Men, and I'm a national publicist for musicians as well. I have a couple things. First, as a band being booked at most of the venues around here, okay, there's a certain level. You guys just talked about bands supporting the other bands. Everyone's staying there for them, doing cross promotion, maybe collaborating on a poster, whatever that may be. Do you feel that all of the promotion needs to lay on the bands, or do you feel that the venue has a certain responsibility to make sure that they are making sure that the community as a whole, including publications, Philly Weekly, whoever else, knows that these shows are going on? And to that extent, what is being done for that? Because I personally know that 9 times out of 10 in this city, unless you're playing at Johnny Brenda's, or you're playing at, let's say, or you're playing at, the TLA or something like that, there's nothing written about it.
It will never be written. I know the writers. Derek knows. We all know the people who write for these papers. It depends on what they actually like.
Is there anything that can be done within the community as a whole, as a venue, to get bands together?
It's alternative marketing. Like I market differently. I market every show I can that I possibly can. It's like I don't think the print paper works as much as it did like back in the past. I think people just look over it and don't pay attention.
From our point of view here at Career Crack, I don't really give a fuck too much about the press. I'm not up the Keys' ass to cover our shows, or I got a relationship with Gas House Radio, and we use that as an outlet. I promote the shit out of every show that we do here. At least I'm posting about it. I create a Facebook event, there's flyers, I do what I can. But if you're talking about press, like getting coverage out there, to me, I see it as people have their favorites. They have where they're going to cover shows. I don't know if it's because they're spending money on advertising there. Maybe I need to become a member of XPN to make sure that they cover shows. I don't really know. I don't have time to figure it out personally.
Okay, so to answer your question, and it's a very important, and it's one of the very important points that you bring up is that where the artist can put more onus on the venues, and I welcome this from all artists, and what you're doing by having collaborative shows. When you have a show that you as an artist and you're working with the venue, and as that show is coming together, the other 2, 3, 4 bands on that bill, before it's finalized, before you get to the period of we're giving a Facebook event, we're having promotion, is that, okay, we have this, we're putting together a show that we know that everyone's going to work together on this show. And it's going to be a collaborative promotional event, and that the promoter has responsibility. Like if I'm going to a band, if I'm finalizing a show with a band, I may ask the band, do you like that band? Do you want that band on your bill? And take that feedback and let that be a considered factor in how that bill is booked. So the more collaborative it is with the promoter and the artist, then those things are more likely to happen. So that's a really, really key thing. And as far as the folks in town who are covering shows, the paper is the key, and so forth and so on. Once again, that's a collaborative effort as a venue. We send out press releases every week. We feature certain bands. We get a fair amount of coverage in those publications. But it's also on the bands, once again, to do the same. Once you have a show, you should have a poster, press release, contact, sending all the information to all the people who could potentially cover your show, and doing it with the people that you're playing the show with. And as a unit, you stand much stronger together.
You know what the problem though there is, that takes an extreme amount of communication. When you're doing shows every night, and it takes a full-time person to be employed by the venue to do that level of communication, and there's not that many venues that can afford to pay somebody full-time to do that level. I mean, that's somebody's full-time job, doing all that communication. It's a lot. But to do that for every show, I'm just saying, like, that's where it falls down, is when you just have those dates where you're like, ah, shit, I got this Tuesday night I gotta fill. Like, we're our own worst enemy in a lot of cases. We say these things, and it's like, I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else. If I gotta fill a date, dates get behind me, it happens. But it all boils down to that communication and deciding, determining who is the promoter on the show. Is it the venue? Who's taking the primary role of promoter on this show? Is it the venue? Is it the guy in the... Well, no, I mean, sometimes it's the guy in the band. Sometimes it's the guy in the band who wants to book the show and book out the rest of the lineup. He's creating a flyer. He's doing the Facebook event page. He's playing the primary role of promoter. He's going to be financially compensated for taking on that role of primary promoter. Sometimes it's the venue. If I'm curating the lineup and some touring band comes to me and says, hey, I want to play this date, and I'm going to go and find 3 local supporting acts that sound good with this band, and I'm going to put this show together, well, now I'm the promoter. Sometimes it's Jim, or another promoter who's not actually in-house at the venue, but they're outside and they're not in the band. But somebody has to play that role, and that has to be determined when you book that show, if it's going to get promoted properly.
Can I, as you guys are talking about it, real quick, a lot of you guys probably don't know who I am, but I am the publisher of that mag and Origivation. The point I want to make is you guys are talking about setting up press releases. Press releases should only come from the artist unless the venue itself has some major show that's going out that they want to promote. Because if the venue keeps sending out press releases every freaking week, we're just going to put it to the side.
But I've talked to people in the press, and what they say is, all you got to do, as from the venue side of things, have a weekly email that goes out with what shows are going on.
If you send me a press release every week, I'd be like, okay, Ron. I look for your big show. But then again, it gets oversaturated.
I'm just
kind of like
Facebook invite.
back in the day, like City Paper had the the list of all the venues and all your shows. The City Paper's gone. It's been shut down for 3 weeks now. They went out of business. So all you have is the PW.
Berto's been waiting to speak.
Hey, we got like 20 minutes left to do this round table, and it's getting real noisy in the back, and I just definitely want to thank the guys doing this and try and show them a little more respect as we have this round table for 20 more minutes, and then we can all just get shit-faced together, and it'll be great.
Amen.
Shut the hell up. basically, but I'm very polite. So I kind of want to take this entire conversation from another angle, because we can definitely talk in circles about the million different things stupid asshole musicians like ourselves do, and then the million stupid things that venues do on top of it. And it all kind of comes down to a bunch of bullshit. But if we're all doing the whole, the pay your dues system, you play your Tuesday night, you play your Wednesday night, you make it to your weekend. Like, I was part of that scene, and I did that, and that was cool, and it worked. And as a member of a band, I went out and I supported other bands, and I went out every fucking night to see every possible show and support as many people as I could. And in the end, we were rewarded by having a really nice showing of the Philadelphia music community supporting us. So we'd go and we'd play our shows, and we'd have that, 50-person draw every once in a while. We would be able to do that a few times a year, and it was great, and we started to make a name for ourselves. But there is a line that's drawn eventually, because the success of our band, we were a good live band. We didn't have exceptional music, but we were a good live band, and we did our little touring thing. But the fact of the matter is, we have to, as a scene, figure out a way to engage the non-musician and the average consumer. Because what happened is, as much as we did all the pay your dues work, all the groundwork, all the hardcore marketing, the treating our band as a business, the working the image angle, the making sure we always had a product and promoted our shows as an event, making sure we supported the scene so that people would come and support us, in the end, after years of doing that, we still stagnated and couldn't continue to build upon that within the Philly scene. We would do better outside of Philly in smaller towns where average people were genuinely entertained by music and would go to bars to see shows regardless of who the band was.
But there's one bar in 50-mile radius.
Well, that's the thing, is that there's
agree.
a lot of competition for those entertainment dollars.
Totally agree. So what I want to approach a different angle of this conversation, see what can we tangibly do to affect that and to change that, so that we're appealing to the average consumer, so that bands that did the work can start making real fans, not just friends in the scene, but real fans who want to buy your music.
Before that, I think Jim started to talk about that, saying that the bands, if they support each other and create a crowd at a show, it will attract others. But I think it's more than that. I think in some of the online arguments that I've seen and discussions, what came up is the cover charge, and if that's too much for the average person to come in. Maybe it's too much on any night except for Friday or Saturday. I don't know, but you're absolutely right. It is becoming, or has become, a scene of musicians watching other musicians, and the outside isn't there. So we need answers to that for sure.
And frankly, it's the cover is there, in most cases, to cover the venue's house costs. At the end of the day, it's a way to make sure that everybody is financially compensated at the end of the night. I mean, I could do a free show and I could take a percentage of the bar and start divvying it out. But, on an average given night, I don't give a shit, I'll tell you. Well, maybe we do $800. So how much can I possibly give you? By the time I buy the beer, and I pay the tax on the beer, and I pay the sound guy, and I pay our rent, and I pay the electricity, and I pay everything else, there's nothing left. You know what I mean? So I can give you, 10%. What's that going to be, $80? You're going to split that up between 3 bands? Now maybe you say, okay, well, there's no cover, so more people are going to come in, we'll do more money at the bar. But how much are we actually talking about at that point? Even at a place, Dobbs, they do a $3,000 night on South Street. Let's talk about $300. If you have 4 bands on the bill, you can say, okay, everybody gets $75. That's my bar tab for the night. You know what I mean? That's not changing everybody's lives, but, that's the financial aspect of the situation.
I want to hop in here. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Monty. I used to play with a couple of different bands. But I think one of the things that has been bugging me about this conversation, and kind of springboarding from what Berto was starting, is the question is, what can we do for about the people who aren't here? We have the venues who are willing to let people walk in who are just like, holy fuck, that was really good, I want to go see what's going on. And we have the bands who are staying to see the other bands and who are doing their due diligence and who are coming out to these fucking things on Thursday night. We could sit here and talk about ourselves for a while. The real question is, how do we inspire the other bands that are just thinking like they're gonna fucking, you know, get one show on Friday night and then be fucking famous. You know, like how do we get the other venues to, you know, follow suit? You know, like those are the idiots who aren't here thinking they're just gonna write the song in their parents' basement.
Those are the ones that play on Monday.
They're guys. Well, yeah, of course, and I agree with you, Billy. Like those are the guys who are ruining it for us. But like the question is like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about that? Because like, you know, like, what the fuck do we do? Because they're always gonna be around.
Okay, so one of the things that one of the most significant things that the problem that exists is far outside of music. In 2015 in Philadelphia, as this city has become the hippest city in America, and it is. And one of the things that continuously happens that we're seeing here and that we're not seeing in other cities is that there's so many different things to do. So not only are we competing against the music scene, we're just competing against we're competing against the social scene. There's a new establishment that's opening up. Listen up. There's a new establishment open up in Northern Liberties that is a housing complex, that is a business for entrepreneurs, that is a craft brewery. These are type of things that are opening up all around the city. When Barcade opened up, like that, these are the kind of things that actually the music venues are competing with more. When people go to shows, when people go to see a show, and they go to see their fans, and they go to see their friend's show, especially they go into a neighborhood like Fishtown, Northern Liberties, they go to see that band, and when that band's done, all their friends are at Frankfurt Hall or at Barcade, so they're going to meet them there. So what really comes back to, as promoters and as bands, we have to work together to keep that audience and build that audience. So the only way to really keep that audience is one of the things that Jim touched on is I think it's twofold, is building a real bond within the venues and creating a potential price that people can go from venue to venue and pay only one price, and it'd be minimal, and it'd be a minimal price. So if you're at KFN, and instead of going to Barcade for the same price, you can walk to the Fire, or you can walk to Bourbon and Branch, or if you're here in South Philly, you can go to Connie's Rick Rack and then go to Boot and Saddle. So it's a real effort that has to be made amongst promoters and bands.
I'm gonna top one this. A lot of people don't know, might not know this, but during the day, I design restaurants and kitchens in the city of Philadelphia. I did Boot and Saddle's kitchen. I've done so many. And when Derek's talking about the brewery, I'm actually doing the bar layout for that. But this year alone, that haven't even opened, between open up and now, I did 45 restaurants and gastropubs in the city of Philadelphia that are going to be either they're open up now or going to open up between now and the new year. And the other thing that's popping up now is, since the liquor, in Fishtown, I don't know if you know about the gin distillery that's opening up. There's a liquor one. I'm doing all them right now. I'm doing a whiskey one. Once they open up, that's going to, again, it's going to draw more people to these different locations. There's so much to do in Philadelphia. That's when it needs to come back to the bands to put a quality product, us to put out quality shows, and kind of get people to come. And find different ways to market the shows and try to let them know that music is cool, or you know what I mean, or some way to attract those people in.
Because we're up against it. Even like
Can I interject, guys? Can I interject? Because I have two talking points that I think we really need to. Yo, guys! There's two talking points that I think we really need to discuss here. First one is, we got a lot of people here tonight. Why were we able to do that? Because we rallied behind each other and we came here. And we want to show support. Why can't we do this every show? Why can't we do this all the time? This is on us. This isn't on you guys. This is on us.
Well, these people do that, but you spread these people out across 8 venues. It's not
real recognizes
So we're
real,
talking
right, Dustin?
about what Derek said is absolutely right. Like to have something to entice people to go and pay one price to go to Connie's, but be able to go check out all the other venues for that. That's a great idea.
And
that needs to be said.
And then last talking point, and then you guys can go off. I disagree with what you said, Jim. The scene is not about promoting sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Because, honestly, hold on. No. And I'll be honest with you. Because how do you make us a viable option for people to want to look at us? You're beneficial to the community around you. Why not start promoting charities? Why not start promoting good works? Like, just, hey, we played a charity for cancer. We played a charity, hold on. We did beneficial things. We did beneficial things for the community where we get recognition from the community for helping them. Not just the music scene, not helping our business case. We market to the people that aren't even involved in the music scene by helping them. Why don't we do that?
We do, but I don't think anybody's listening. I know Derek does stuff. I know Ron does stuff. I do stuff. And I'll throw another thing out there, and Brian Cronin and myself for years have always done stuff, forums like this. We started up again with Ron and all. And everybody talks, like all the bands talk a good game. I mean, everybody bitches and complains about the stuff. But we put a lot of stuff out there, and bands that I know, and there's bands here that have been part of some of the events that I've done, from conferences to speaking events or any kind of knowledge stuff. And I've done tons of benefits, festivals. You'd be surprised how everybody just basically talk I'm not a part of that, or they don't know about this stuff because they don't pay attention to what's actually going on in the scene. So, like, Barry, I understand what you're saying, get more involved, but last year I did 15 charity events with bands in it. I know, I've seen some of the stuff you guys done. I know we've done stuff. Everybody's been doing it, but that, like, for you to make a comment like that, and it just shows that maybe you're not really paying attention to what the venue's doing itself. And it's not. I'm not being. But a lot of artists don't pay attention. They just look for a show and don't look what the venue does and what the venue can do for you and what you can do for the venue. And a lot of bands lose sight of that.
I should support what you're doing. I really do.
You're absolutely right. I think we're going to wrap things up in a minute, but Dustin?
Well, I was just going to say, I know there's a lot of more people that want things to say. We got to wrap things up. But I've been to a lot of these things that Jim's talking about with like Liberty Music Fest and Dewey Beach and a lot of these panels up here. And it's a lot of talk, and it seems to be a lot of the same things, and it needs to be continued. There's a lot of good points made here tonight. What Berto and Monty said, I agree with a lot. I think there needs to be more ideas to get people outside the music scene to come in and enjoy what we are enjoying. So to continue the conversation, it's not going to happen tonight. We're not going to make all the answers happen tonight, but it needs to continue. And so please pay attention when things like this are going on so we can continue. There is a Facebook.
There is one.
We have one more comment here.
It's called the Philadelphia Roundtable.
We're here. We're doing it. We're doing it. Guys, give it up.
Is it a group page or is it a...
One more comment real quick right here.
Open forum page, so you can go in there and we even encourage people to write comments.
Continue the conversation on social media. Hashtag Philly Roundtable.
Well, create a group page instead, and you might tweak it a little bit.
We're going to start a meetup.
I hate meetup, but I'm actually somebody that's not from. I don't play music. I mean, I love
That's
marketing.
the freshest
So,
thing you can get right now.
But there's a couple things that I do love about like coming out to these gigs, and I love good music. So, like a couple things to keep people there that I would recommend is, how many of you guys do a jam out at the end with the different bands together?
It happens.
It depends on the lineups. There's bands that do that. We have
there's different
bands that do it.
situations every time, but I'm just saying. One suggestion, I love the idea of like the bands coming out to with one card, a VIP concept, but my question is really, really how do you expect to bring in, have that following, you have to have all the venues, like you were saying earlier, who markets, is it the band or is it them? I think it should be everybody.
I do
First
too.
of all, and
Agreed.
You got to get them excited about the event.
Right.
If you're just like, hey,
how many people have a Facebook page here?
Everybody.
How many people here have a Facebook page?
Everybody's got a Facebook page.
Exactly. How many people have over 500 people on their Facebook page? It's, I have 3,000 people over.
I'm only allowed to invite 500 at a time.
But what I'm saying is that you shouldn't be responsible.
Right here.
He shouldn't just be responsible. It should be everybody for joining them all together. Should be able to bring in 50 to 100 people.
And I think that that's a good segue into, you know, if we're going to get people, because who goes out to live shows, right? We've already established, most of the people that goes out to live shows are other musicians, right? Unless it's your CD release party and your mom comes and your sister comes with her husband. For the most part, who goes out and sees live shows is, for the sake of going and seeing live shows, is other musicians. Whether they're there to support, they genuinely like the music.
How did I find out about this tonight?
What's that?
Yeah, how did I find out about this tonight? Brian just happened to say, hey, here's an invite to come out to this gig tonight.
Well, we had a whole social media web we were spinning.
But this is bands getting invited. How about outsiders coming in getting invited?
Well, that's the problem. That's the pain point. That's something we have to figure out. And we actually have somebody that has taken notes on what has been talked about tonight. And so please look for a survey or some extra thing on the end of tonight that we can get a little bit more information from you so that we can actually start putting things into motion instead of continually talking.
Hashtag Philly Roundtable. We're going to continue the conversation. This is going to go on every last Wednesday of the month. We're going to come here. We're going to talk this shit out. The fucking main point is promote the scene. It's the scene. It's bigger than the artists. It's bigger than the venues. It's bigger than everything else. It's the collective. If we promote the collective, we will all benefit. That's the main point. That's what we have to do. And that's how we start to convince other people that aren't musicians to start shifting their entertainment dollar to where live, original, like actual art and culture is. Instead of going to fucking Chickies and Pete's or sitting in the corner bar and shooting pool. There's other options for their entertainment dollars, whether it's a Connie's Rick Rack, a Fire, Bull Shooters, World Cafe. There's a lot of great stuff going on right now in this city, and that's what we need to embrace. So thank you for everybody coming out tonight. I'd like to thank the moderators for this evening, Jim Thorpe from DVT Events, Dustin Dellinger from Gas House Radio. We're lucky enough to have Derek Dorsey from The Fire here. I want to thank everybody who spoke tonight. This really, really is.
This is all happening at Connie's. This is happening at Connie's. Like,
follow us on Twitter.
A footstep in the music community right now.
Hashtag tonight on 9th Street.
Dude, really fantastic.